good evening, or good middle of the night, wherever you are. I am Kristen Lena, your host, and I'm so excited to be here today with Wendy Paquette. Okay, before I go into my girl crush about Wendy Paquette, let me just read you her official bio. Wendy Paquette is a transformational life coach and holographic mind reprogrammer. Cannot even wait to talk about that. Who helps powerful women and men amplify and raise their frequency by instantly eliminating blocks and limitations with her signature process, the Spark Method for Radical Change. Okay, that's enough for an entire interview. So, hi, Wendy.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay. And she's also an amazing human and a beautiful being. And I've learned so much from this woman. So my intention is that you do as well. So first of all, what is a holographic mind reprogrammer? Because I know I can't be the only one. And I've already asked you this before, but I can't be the only one wondering what that is.
Yeah. Well, basically it's for me, the process of shifting the mind programs, the programs that we run in our minds, things that we decided are true, whether we like them or not. Those are programs. A holographic mind reprogrammer is something that I'm able to go in and see the programs and transmute them to a new frequency, which is source frequency, which is source energy, Christ frequency, however you want to look at it. And why I claim that piece of it is because about 6 years ago, I had an enlightenment experience, which gifted me the ability to feel, see, and read people's frequencies, and especially the ones that are in their brain, which I call programs, because they run your life, whether you like it or not. So my gift is to be able to see them and then transmute them to source energy, which is expressed as you, whatever you. So it'd be you, Kristen, in this body embodied.
So this you called it an awakening.
Mm-hmm.
How describe it? I'm curious. I want to know what that was like. What happened?
Yeah, my awakening was unexpected, actually. And now that I look back, I caused it and created it. But in the moment, I didn't realize, because I was in such an interesting space. I spent most of my years alive being super curious about otherworldly things, energy work, all that kind of stuff. Because when I was 16 years old, one of my first boyfriends could do telekinesis, which is moving things with your mind. And when you're 16, that's more like magic and crazy and scary. We didn't know what the hell it was at the time. We didn't have the words to describe it. So that kind of burst open my whole reality into a space that is like beyond unknown, because I just didn't know what it was. And to have someone do it right in front of me and me not be able to do it caused me to want to educate myself. But what that looks like when you think it's something that's crazy or weird or magic, it's not a simple thing. So it's kind of a quiet discovery. But what I came to learn was energy work, all those kind of things that heal something that is unexplainable, which now even looks like miracles in the world. Those things, they cause me to keep seeking. And in the meantime, you're human, right? So everybody wants to be happy. And so fast forward a couple of decades into my journey, I had many healing modalities under my belt where people were miraculously and literally healing physically, emotionally, mentally in front of me because of the work that I was doing with them. And so I had so much joy in working with people and watching them transform. But when the secret behind that was when they would leave, and they literally would come to my house for these sessions, when they would leave, I would sit down on my own, like maybe even at my kitchen table, and I was deeply sad. Like it was a realization, like, how could I cause and create these miracles in other people's realities, so where they have massive transformations from physical, mental, and spiritual, and then be so deeply sad? It was a big fat secret and a big lie that I was living because I could see what's possible, yet I didn't have it for myself. And the day that I came to that realization was the most profound day of my life, really. I made some massive demands. I called in the truth of everything that's ever taught, from ancient texts to maybe Ask and It Is Given books, all kinds of things. And I made a demand to know that it's true. And if I was here for purpose, I wanted that to be now and here so that I could be that presently and know it so much so that my heart was open and I was joyful. So I have an understanding of myself that I never had before. And what transpired after that was I had brought myself from sitting down at the kitchen table and crying because I was so deeply unhappy and everything on the outside looked perfect, but inside I was so broken, or I felt so broken, to walking into the bathroom, looking into the mirror and like yelling into my own face, like looking into my own eyes and screaming that, like, if this is true, like if asking it to give it is true, and if God is real, and if angels are real, or if guides are real, or if other anything, energy that I can't see with my eyes, if that is actually true, then I'm asking right now. There's no doubt. I'm asking it. I'm saying it out loud. I want my gifts to be dropped on my ass right now. Like, I want them. I don't care what they look like. I want to be a massive impact. Whatever that looks like, give it to me now. I'm asking. And I made sure, like, I was almost ignorant about the asking part, because I'm like, in case you're not hearing me, like, ask it another way, right? And so I made those demands. And what I did was I generally meditate in the tub because water's a nice conduit for energy. So I hopped into the tub, but I utilized some of the techniques that I was using on others to facilitate their experiences. I used it on myself. Now, when you're learning these other techniques from other people, they tell you, don't do it on yourself, only do it on others, because you don't know what could happen if you do it on your own. And I was like, I'm throwing that shit to the wind. I'm doing this on myself because I get to have all the things that it delivers for other people, and I'm doing it. And so that began in that moment an experience that was completely otherworldly for me. I was able to hear 3 different aspects of myself: my higher self, lower self, and then the witness of all of it. I got to have, like, it was almost like conversations inside of an energetic world that I didn't even know was possible. And then I was asking for a guide. It seemed like up until that point, I would learn from someone else and be paying people to guide me. And somehow it would turn around where I would know more than them energetically, and just a wisdom that kind of was innate in me. It was totally innate. And so I felt like I was paying people for me to work with them, like to support them. And that started to really piss me off. So when I went in, I was like, you better drop a master on me, and I want to know that they know more than me. So it better be someone that I know knows more than me. Because if I have to come through this and still be out of sorts, like, you're either going to pluck me off this godforsaken hurling stone in the multiverse, or you're going to deliver that shit now. And that's kind of how it went down. And while I was in there, I'm not, like, I don't claim to be a religious person. I'm just, me in my regular world. But who showed up as a master in that deep state theta space that I was in was God. And that shocked me. Like, even in that state, I was like, oh, like, okay. Like, I had no idea that a master would show up, that I didn't even really consider him a master in that regard. Like, had you asked me, I don't know who I would have said was a master, but I was confused and lost in my own space before that. But he showed up and didn't even have words. My response I guess you'd say, if it was in insight,
right?
Basically, what had happened is he walked towards me, super huge, tall, white robe on, sash around. He just looked at me and opened up his arms to hug me. And I remember distinctly in my head going, okay, now what? like, okay, I'm a hugger. I can hug. Like, that was my response in my head, like, totally still me, right? So I hugged him, and it was really, like, it was a feeling beyond anything I could imagine. And I remember, like, being in there, going for the hug, and literally he was so big that my cheek was up against his belly. That's how tall he was. And I was just like, yeah, this frequency is amazing. And then suddenly he disappeared inside of me. Like, he went, poof, and I was like, like, I was paused thinking, okay, like, okay, like, now what? Now what happens? And that's the one time that he spoke to me, and he said, your first task is to love with my heart. And I was like, okay. Like, I literally had no more words. Okay was my response.
Your first task is to love with my heart.
Yeah. And so I, that to me, I was like, okay. So I brought myself out of that space, and man, the whole world looked different when I came out. I literally felt like everything was nighttime. I felt like I slept for 2 days. I went downstairs and I was sitting in the dark we have a lower level, and I was sitting on the coffee table, and I have hundreds of books, reference books. And I had a bunch of them in front of me, and I had one open in my hand, and I was trying to read it. I don't even know what it was. I don't recall. My husband came downstairs and he sat on the couch, and he was staring at me. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm reading a book and I don't know, I guess I'm hunting for answers. Like, what just happened to me? Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, I'm looking over at him and I'm thinking, what are you doing? Like, I was getting annoyed. And so I turned to him and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you sitting there? He looked at me dead square in the face. He goes, what are you doing? Because I'm sitting in the dark trying to find stuff. I probably was frantic, like, Einstein in a fit. Right. And he was like, what is your problem? What is going on here? And in my moment, I thought, I had no emotions since I got out of the tub from that experience. I had nothing. I wasn't even sure what to think. And I have the exact thought that every client that I ever had who had a profound experience, the first thought they ever thought was like, did that actually happen to me? And that was exactly what happened to me. I was like, did that really happen? And so in the moment, I thought, well, my husband was born and raised Catholic. He was an altar boy. His parents don't go to church. I'm going to say it out loud. And if I'm going to be judged, it's certainly going to be by him. So I better just I'm just going to say it. And as I went to tell him, I'm like, how sometimes I meditate? And he's like, yeah. I go, how sometimes, like you get pictures and stuff in your head. He's like, yeah. I go, well, I just did that and someone showed up and it was God. And as I was saying it, all of a sudden my whole body had a response and I started to cry uncontrollably. Partly, I think, because I realized in the moment that it had actually happened. And partly because I was saying it out loud and I was finally hearing my own voice for the first time. And I thought, like, I'm setting myself up for him, like, judging me, but I'm bawling. And he looks at me and he says, why are you crying? Haven't you ever heard of anybody seeing God before? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I was like livid, so livid. Anyway, that began my journey and it unfolded over 8 months' time. Like, basically.
So from that point, that
experience.
Yeah. It unfolded. So what does that look? What do you mean unfolded?
Well,
it became more clear to you?
I didn't know what actually happened. Like, you can imagine this. My prophetic word to me was, your first task is to love with my heart. It sounds simple until you actually go, what the hell does that actually mean?
I would actually think that would be the farthest thing from simple.
I think like simple words. And in my head, I was like, well, Kristen, what does that mean? Does that mean when I hug you, do I have to think about loving you with God's heart? And will you feel different? Will you know that I'm thinking that? Or will you know the difference between loving you with his heart and loving you with mine? And it was this whole, like, it took 8 months. And it was a really profound, like, mind screw up, because I was like, I just don't get it. I just don't get what that means. Like, what do I have to do? Right.
Of course.
And
the mind loves to figure out shit.
It was pretty profound. So then I started following the breadcrumbs of what was showing up in front of me. And so I would be called to particular books. And I think you and I both love Bruce Lipton, but for him, I kept being called to one of his older books. I can't remember which one it was. And so I thought, I don't know what was in my head, but I'm like, I already have that book in physical. Oh, I'll go buy it digital. Like, I'm just going to go on, and buy it digital. And as I put Bruce Lipton in the book, I scroll down and I see the Moses Code. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I've always wanted to know, stuff about the story of the burning bush. Like, I was really super curious. So maybe I'll buy that book. So I buy the digital book of that. I forget all about the other book. No big deal. In the meantime, so I put the digital book and I just leave it there on my Kindle. And a couple of days later, something happened where my husband had this massive opportunity to do something and make a lot of money over the course of a weekend. And I watched him create it. I watched him create the opportunity for himself. I watched him step right into it. And then when it came down to actually having it, the day that he was supposed to go somewhere in order to get the training to make that happen, he's like, I don't think I'm going to go. And I'm like, what? He goes, no, it's raining. I don't think I had to drive, whatever. He didn't go. Well, of course, a few days later, we discovered they take that opportunity away from him. So now he loses it. Anyways, it was a big opportunity financially. And I was like, so angry and frustrated with him about that. I'm like, how could he like do this? It doesn't make any sense. So of course I throw myself back into the tub and I'm in there and I'm like, what's happening? Like, I'm so frustrated. And I started going like this. I'm like, what is he being? And I went, he's being a person who doesn't take advantage of opportunities. And then I'm like, am I that? Am I? Like, no. I'm like, well, okay, so what am I going to do with this information? And all of a sudden it dropped in. It was like, you're going to love it with God's heart. I was like, okay. So I actually took it, the energy of it, and I had my hand out like this, and I placed it in front of my heart, and my whole body went, and I was like, oh my God, what just happened? My whole body went to like, it was shaking, it was vibrating, it was like a visceral like movement. I was like almost levitating out of the tub. I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And then I went back to the thought of being frustrated by everything he was doing, and it was gone. I mean, disappeared completely. And I was like, that's really funny. Like, oh my God. Okay, what just happened? What did I just do? And I went back and I found something else that irritated me, and I did it again and it worked. I was like, okay, like this is something. So I went the next day. I had to go to a ladies' event. And I was at the ladies' event. The woman who was running it was sitting right beside me, and she looked right at me, really weird. And I'm like what? And she was talking the whole time, and she kept saying words, and some words were really loud. And one of the words that she kept saying was, well, I'm a control freak because blah, 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 whatever she's saying. She kept saying it. It was louder and louder and louder. And I'm like, that is so weird. So then when she sat beside me, she looked at me. She's like, you got a message for me. I'm like, not so much a message, but I want to know why you keep calling yourself a control freak. And she's like, well, because I am. I go, are you? I go, why don't we try something? And I had her do the same thing that I did that removed the emotions out of, like, when I was irritated with my husband. I had her do that about herself with the words, the frequency of control freak. I had her do everything I had done. And she was like, she looked around. She's like, oh my God, I can't even remember the word you just asked me to think about. This is an epiphany. And she walked away. I was like, okay, apparently it works on other people. So that started my journey, and it unfolded from there. Now back to why the book was so important with Bruce Lipton is because in this experience that I was having, where I found there's some profound things happening, I kept asking, like, the questions I was asking myself were like, am I that? Like, am I that, whatever that is, like a person who doesn't take advantage of opportunities and then destroys them, like not take them? And I kept hearing those words kept like being the things that kept coming out of my mouth. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I decide one day I'm going to read Bruce Lipton's The Moses Code. And as I'm reading it, I'm so curious about the story about the burning bush. And I get to the point where the burning bush is, Moses saying, well, what is your name? Burning bush or God or whatever. And God says, I am that I am. Allah, huh? What? Oh my God. Okay, wait. Like, wait. I wrote down the words that I use. I question myself. Am I that? Am I? I write down the name of God. I am that I am. Freaking same words backwards. I'm like, okay, mind blown. Like, totally freaked out. I don't know even what happened after that. I was like losing my mind, racing around the house, like freaking out. I don't even think I read the rest of the book. I didn't have to. Right? I was like, okay, great. I got the answer. I need to know what the hell's going on here. And that was the first of many clues as to what was unfolding and what I discovered. And this feels like a really long story, and I'm sorry I'm taking too long to tell it, but it's good. Yeah, it's super fun. What I discovered in the moment, what I was gifted when I took myself into that space where God showed up and he asked me to love with his heart. What happened is why he disappeared inside my body was that he removed all frequencies, evidence, and any programs of separation in every way. So therefore, my sight in this reality is without separation. So everything I look at is me. And then I found, like, I was called to science books to prove quantum physics and all those things. So now I'm like, fuck, I'm a walking quantum physics experiment. Like, I'm seeing myself in these books as what's actually happening with me and the people that I'm working with, the same thing. Because whatever I was gifted in that moment gave me the ability to see everything in this holographic world. And I say holographic because every cell everywhere has you in it. And it doesn't matter what it shows up like and what physical capacity or any way, it's all you, or it's all me, or it's all what, like, we're all one in that way. And so it was the oneness that I was gifted. And so my sight is only that. And really, I mean, I know I asked for my gift to show up, but everybody asks that and they don't actually expect it to occur. And so I guess my demand was so pure in that moment, and I was ready in whatever way that looked like, that it occurred. And it literally changed my life in every which way. And now not only can I see myself everywhere, well, when I'm speaking to you, or when I see what you're looking at, I also see myself in you and you outside of you. And it's like, it's everywhere. It's kind of like an infinite expression of reality.
So is it like when, I feel like such a little, like, baby chick that just, like, is born and is like, what? Like, you know, this is the analogy. I feel like the little baby chick, like, oh, what does that mean? So here's what I'm trying to, like, compare this to. You know, when you go into, like, it could be a fun house, but like you have a mirror in front of you and a mirror behind you, and it's like
Yep.
You're just like, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so like holographic means, say it again, you said something about cells.
Well, imagine, like, you can liken it to, as in science, when you look at a cell,
Mm-hmm.
a cell divides from 1 to 2 and 2 to 4, 4 to 8, and so on. And the cell becomes a human at some point.
Yep.
But the cells don't just stay looking like cells. Parts of this, like some of the information side of the cells, creates arms, legs, organs, brains, all those things. And then the aliveness of the cell, which has always been there, becomes you, right? And so the holographic nature of that is every cell, no matter whether that one cell became you or me or anyone on the planet or a plant or an animal or a tree or the earth or whatever, it's all you. Because the one cell that encompasses arms, legs, all those things in a human is also everywhere else. So when you're looking in your reality about your life, with your life, if you want to know, like, the gift in this reality as a human being embodied is that, the individualness of being embodied. The different viewpoint you have is just from where you're looking from. So we're living in the same world. What I'm seeing is different from what you're seeing, even if we're looking at the same thing, because of the viewpoint that we're standing in. And so you could be looking at the most beautiful things in your life, and guess what, my friend? That beautifulness is you. But if you're looking at things that aren't working and you don't like them, that's also you. That's where the programs come in. The only thing that creates your decision, whether you like or dislike, is a program that's in your brain. And it's only a decision that you have made about something that creates the program. And so, of course, there's the stimulus that causes you to make that decision. And that's all, like, it's, it goes further out like that. But you are the evidence of your decisions in your brain. And you're going to live through those programs. And whatever you decided is. And that's what you're going to see, whether you like it or not. So that's how simple it is to shift a frequency. Because if you decided, you know what, I don't make any money, I don't have any money, I don't know, whatever, guess what? That's all you're ever going to see, because that program's written. You've decided it's true, and therefore it is. And you will see evidence everywhere.
Right.
But the same is true for the good things in your reality as well. And all things are changeable. Like, science proves that you can not create nor destroy energy. It can only be transformed. So you can transform the program, which is just purely energy, into something else. And then in your reality, see the evidence of that show up.
And you said instantly.
Yeah. Yeah. As a human, because we're embodied, the density of our body causes the length of time that it seems like it takes to show up in our, in our bodies or outside of us. But the energetic transformation is instantaneous. So that's how you can tell. Like with me, it was when the emotions are no longer there. You went from having emotions to not having emotions. That's instantaneous, right? There's no time there. But how it shows up in your reality, once it makes its way through whatever it does to clear, like toxins get cleared from your body when they are a certain frequency. That's where the science comes in. The frequency, there's frequencies everywhere, right? Proven by science. When you have a program that has a particular frequency attached to it, it holds this physical body that you have, frequencies and toxins that are attached to it. So that's how people can create illnesses from their programs in their brain programs. Because whatever frequency that's attached to, whatever they believe is true is. So therefore it's going to show up, carries the same frequency. Does that make sense?
You're gonna keep talking about it because I love this. Just keep talking about it because I love this. It makes sense. It makes sense. Yes. And remember, I'm a baby chick.
Yeah. Well, how the toxins come into play is if the frequency of your brain are creating toxins in your body that are matching frequencies, is how I see it. When you shift your perception, so shift the program, most often you shift it up. Most often, sometimes people shift it down too when they get fearful. But if they're shifting it up, your cells are going to release the toxins instantaneously that were held onto by the program, which has like a detox effect where you need to, your body's got to get rid of the toxins that's been hanging on to. If you go down further, it's going to create more toxins.
What do you mean go down further?
If you go, like we're talking frequency levels,
Yep.
Like if you're going to heighten your frequency, it's going to go up. Your cell's going to let go of the frequency toxins that have been hanging on to. If you fall into a fear and you keep going into the deepest, darkest, scariest spots of fear and keep going down in there and seeing the worst things and being afraid of everything, your body will then create that. So imagine people fearing certain illnesses and then they got it.
Virus.
Right? Kind of that kind of thing. So, yeah.
So this is good because this is the environment that we're in, and I love being able to talk about actually like making the connection for people. This is science based. Like we can measure vibration, we can measure energy.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is there is a vibration of a toxin that's in your body or not in your body yet.
Well, it depends on what program you have.
Okay, so explain that. So explain that. I would have to have a program for.
So I'm saying it in like a generalized way. Obviously, yes. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't, I can look it all up just the same as everybody else can. What I know is that there are you can measure frequencies, right? So I don't have a magic, device that can do it, but there are those out there where I'm noticing that when you have a particular frame of mind, you've decided something, which I call program, and it's not working for you. That program has all along, since you decided it or bought it, I liken it to like you're shopping and you buy a shitty frequency and now it's yours, right? And it's in your head as a program. When you have that in your head, it automatically has a matching frequency, and that is throughout your body. So it's not just in your brain. It's going to be in every cell because of the holographic nature of it, because of the oneness nature, right? Whatever that looks like, it presents itself most times as an illness or stuck toxins in some form or whatever. And to the simplest of forms, if we bring this right down to like what people can do now, if you change your mind from being afraid of something to going, you know what, I'm so done with that, and shift your perspective and truly believe that you can let that go and actually let it go, your body will let go of the frequency toxins that are attached to that thought process that used to be there and free your body of it. Right? So you'll excrete it however you excrete it. I have created, when I was first learning about what this gift that I was given, I was like shifting everything every day for years. I was shifted frequencies that came into my way in the form of like the identification is a negative emotion. When I say negative, anything but like joy, right? Or below that. Okay. If it's joyful or neutral and above, it's, you're good. But if it's anything less than that, those are the lower frequencies that I work with. They shift them out of there. So I would find something really juicy, like something would show up in my world, would it trigger me to be emotionally responding to it. I'd be like, I'm getting rid of that crap, right? So I'd hop into the tub or anywhere I was, and I would transmute that frequency to source energy. Well, they sometimes would be so big. And when I work with someone or even myself, I have a visceral response. It's my indicator that I know exactly what's happening and that it is happening. Well, I would have such a response of like, ooh, I could and I had 3 times, I know for sure, created a sinus and lung infection instantaneously at the same time. Because I had
yourself, meaning you're working with, okay, so you're working with someone and
you're working with me. If I was I'm shifting my own junk, right? I'm like, oh my God, that emotion showed up for me. I'm getting rid of that one, right? So I shift my perspective. I use it on myself, which I now call a spark method because it's like spark of life is what I look at it for. I would shift something really huge, real program that was massive, but it was so massive, and whoever knows why. I don't know. Maybe it had other things that was going with it. But I would literally be like so sick because of the toxins that were held onto. That's how I know that your body holds toxins when it comes to belief systems, because I've done it so many times and I've seen my own response to it. And I was like, holy crap, I'm not going to do that again. That was huge. But I didn't realize in the moment, I get so excited about the shift and how big it is that I just do it anyway. And then I'm like, ooh, I hope that doesn't hurt. Like, I joke with myself, but I have done some doozies on myself. So I learned to be really gentle. I learned a gentleness about what I'm doing and how I get to, be kind to my body instead of just like forcefully drive stuff out. So imagine over the course of 6 years, I've moved a lot of stuff. So my nature, and as you know me as a person, my nature is joyful.
Yeah.
It's because of all the shit that I got rid of that causes me to not have a lot of emotional responses to a lot of things that are occurring because I moved myself out of them.
Okay, so how you know that something is big, you said how you know something is big is by what? Your emotional response to it? Like the negative emotional response to it?
For me, I have an actual physical response, like a visceral response to a frequency that's big. I will,
like what? Like give me an example.
Well, when I go to move it through my body, I can literally feel I guess it would be like a wave. It feels like a bubble, and it kind of goes through my whole entire body, and which is like I'm pulling it through one cell, but every cell is experiencing it at the same time. I can feel it moving through. It's like if you were taking a breath, but you are forcing the breath in, and you're like, because you were forcing the breath. That's what it feels like. And if it's really big, it's that. And it feels as though if I were forcing too much air, I actually get energy gags, like actually gag on the energy because it's so big and I'm pushing too hard, moving it too fast through. That's what it feels like. And so if I'm going to shift something with someone else and they have a biggie and maybe I haven't shifted it in myself, like quite fully, I will literally be like gagging underneath my hands while they're talking about it because I can already feel how big it is. And so I usually know and then, move it through after that. But I always try to speed them up. I'm like, yep, I got it.
Oh my gosh. So this has been your process for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, I know you said, you had this thing happen at 16 and you've always been really curious and really interested in energy. And what does it take? Like, what does it actually take for a human being? Like my question is, and I already know the answer. My question is, can anyone do this? I already know the answer is yes.
Of course.
So what does it take? It took, because I mean, here's what I hear. You were like, WTF, like, show me, like you actually, and I've heard that before.
Yeah.
From people who have had experiences where they have actually demanded answers. Like, I want concrete evidence that this exists. I want concrete evidence that you did. So I've heard that sort of narrative before. I've heard that occurrence before.
Yeah.
So what does it take aside from that?
Yeah. It takes a true willingness to step into the unknown and not be attached to what it looks like on the other side. Because literally I was at the space where I'm like, you either like anyone listening, you either pluck me off this godforsaken hurling stone in the multiverse because I don't want to be
I
here.
remember you said
This
that.
isn't
I don't
fun.
want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to be up yet.
So you either give it to me or get me off of here because this isn't fun. And if this is what this is all about, like, I don't want any part of it because it sucks and I'm not living the rest of my life like this. Totally, you know, blocked in my head. So I don't know how long, I would imagine a really long time that was building up in me where I was just finally fed up. I'm like, okay, there's a part of me that just like flicked on. And it was so powerful that the demand was so true. And I was so willing to not give a shit what happened after. I'm like, I don't care.
Like complete surrender.
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, whatever. I was at that point now. I don't think everybody has to get to that point. I feel like it's possible to step into it by moving some of those other things out of the way. Had I had someone guiding me and saying, listen, we get to look at all these things and work on a lot of this stuff to free you out of that, then that might have looked differently. But for me, this is obviously my destined journey. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in it. Everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be, no matter what you think. Everything that shows up is exactly what gets to show up.
Okay, so stop there. I knew. I was like, I don't know if an hour is going to be enough. So, because I again, like, I feel like I have been asking questions my whole life, but really not willing to go anywhere, if that makes sense. Like, I haven't been willing to like give it all up, let it all go. You know what I'm saying? Surrender everything. And I'm there now. Like, I'm at that place now. And I feel like the environment that we're in, this coronavirus, the global timeout, is perfect. Perfect for that. And it's been coming. What are your thoughts about what this actually is?
What actually is? With
the state that we find ourselves in right now.
Oh yeah. World. It was the deep asking. Like, it's imagine every soul on the planet, which is also us, going, you know what? Something about this world sucks. So, you know what I mean? I don't like the way humans are treating other people. I don't like that we feel so separate. I don't like that we're so like egocentric in that we like the physical thing.
Yeah.
It is a global calling for a greater reality. We all dream about it. Like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we lived in a really peaceful world? It was like world peace, whatever. We all talk about it. And it's kind of like a, you know, that'd be nice kind of thing. But if you really, truly get down to it, if you ask someone if that's what you really wanted inside, you know damn well you would be like, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. If I could live in a peaceful world, I don't know what that would look like. And I don't care I want it because it doesn't feel good to not feel peaceful or joyful. Why live here? This can't be it. Mm-hmm. Right? And I feel like it was literally the space of that global calling. And not just that. We're talking, like, when I say that, there's an infiniteness that I understand that I maybe gets to shift in the way that people are thinking. When I say we are one everywhere, I mean in the infinite spaces of everywhere, meaning the things that we can't see, the things we can see. Every physical thing in your reality, every bit of the earth, every bit of every human, every bit of every physical thing on this planet, and beyond this, every star, moon, sun, planet, everywhere. The air, it's all one. So if you can imagine in a world that's frequency is ever moving up, according to scientists, forever, they're like, yeah, the frequency, the hertz of the world's moving, it's increasing. If the lower frequencies, which cause the emotions to feel like icky, start like being so low on the bottom that we keep moving up in frequency, starting from the earth and then everything on it, us being all of it, what do you think is going to happen when a critical mass occurs? Instantaneously, everything shifts because we've just hit that next level where a lot of those lower frequencies are going to drop off, not because we decided so, but because it's science and nature and evolution. So it's everything. So it's going to occur. That's why we get to see the gift inside of the crazy that we're seeing right now. Right. And I can see it from the macro and the micro. If I look at what I created myself and I decide I'm going to shift a frequency and it turns out to be really freaking big and I get really sick because of it, like sinus infection, lung infection, all at the same time, really, really sick, fever, the whole 9 yards. It's my body purging the junk. Look at that on a massive scale. What is happening to every single one of us, sick or not sick? Gone through all your cupboards lately? Cleaned out your house lately? Cleaned out your mind lately, your soul, your closet, everything, going, you know what? I got time to clean stuff out. I'm going to purge stuff out. Some people aren't liking it. Some people are getting all their shit in their face. They don't like their relationships that they're in, but they spend so much time being busy at work that they got to ignore the relationship. Now, the truth of what is actually real in their life, of everything they've ever bought, is showing up. So we have the opportunity now to see this and go, okay, well, if it's happening anyway, we're being forced to being faced with our stuff. What do I get to change that I can experience more joy in my life? And how do I get to let go of the things I was hanging on to that were causing the crappy feelings from the beginning, and just I was ignoring it? It's never really truly ignored. It's like an ignorance at its best. It's still there. You're just not looking at it, right? So now you're faced with it. What do you get to do? That's a frequency shift all itself. Like how many bags of stuff have people gotten rid of because they're just like, they have time to clean it out. So it can be looked at in big ways and little ways. I'm like, wow, what was I really wanted that I get to see this as for what it is right now? Right? And how do I get to change the things that I'm not really fond of, that I didn't realize I wasn't fond of?
That's what I think is one of the biggest opportunities right now is that we get to say, and I've heard this, I've said this like over the last few weeks, if everything went away, if everything is off the plate, what do I want to put back on it? What do I want to put back into my life? Because guess what? I can choose that. Now, here's the thing. We always are at choice with what we're putting back on. Yep. Always. Mm-hmm. However, there are the societal collective pulls that we have to like, well, this is what everyone else is doing. Well, we get up and it's like, I don't know. I think you're almost my age. I think you're a little bit younger than me.
I don't know. I'm 49.
Okay. I'm 49. I'll be 50 in October.
I'll be 50 in January.
I love you. Okay. So, and I grew up in New York on the East Coast. There was this Dunkin' Donuts commercial, and it was the guy, and I don't know if you had this growing up, but there's the guy with the like balding hair, and he's like, wakes up every morning, time to make the donuts. And it's like that. It's like, it's like, get up, do the things, feel the space, do what we're supposed to do, put the kids in school, get the job, pay the bills. And it's like, at some point, like, what a fucking blessing. Yeah. What a fucking blessing this is right now and I know that not everyone thinks that this is a blessing. I know that people go, let's just get back to the way it was, because the structure at least is known and it's safe and it's a bunch of bullshit. And that's the power right now that we have, is the ability to say, well, what am I going to put back in? What actually fills my heart and soul? Yeah. What actually makes me feel good? What actually contributes to something outside of me that is a contribution?
Yeah. Well, imagine if someone feels that way, they're like, oh, I want to get back in like the structure that I knew. What if you said, what kind of structure do I really want in my life? And how can I have that? What do I got to do to create that in my space? Because it can be created very easily, even if you're including the job that you went to or the lifestyle that you have. It's not going to change if you don't change it. So you get to ask yourself a more joyful question of like, what would I like my structure to look like now? Because, there's a few things that I wasn't really fond of. I just did it because I had to. But now I can change that because I have choice. Like, I love what you said. We always do have choice. It's always been here. But the call was so big for everyone at the same time that now it's like, okay, this is what you wanted. So now what do you really want, and how are you going to make that so?
Yeah. Plate cleared. Now what? Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm. I have 2 more questions for you, and I can't believe that I have to start asking these questions. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. So the first one is, how do you, so the name of my show is Soul, Wit, and Wisdom. So how do you, I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm a beginner's mind. How do you have fun? Like, how do you, I know you're a joyful person, but like, how do you bring laughter, joy, lightness, wit, humor into your life? Like, what's your thing?
I just make light of a lot of things. Like, the epitome of like, from a humorous place, not growing up, not allowing myself to like look at that as something that I got to change. I still have a childlike wonder, and I still say silly things, and I still like, I think you'll say that you often get there, but talking about like the word fart makes me laugh, like beyond measure. I don't know why. It always has my whole life. I don't ever want that to change. I think it's the most hysterical thing, and everybody does it. And some people think like my mother's like, did I do that? I'm thinking, did you have me? Because that's not how I behave, right? Like, I'm so not that proper. But it's the one thing that actually makes me laugh sometimes so hard that I'm crying, right? And at 50, almost like that, I'm crossing my legs and crying. Like, I can't not. And I think it's super fun. So I just allow myself to be silly and joyful and goofy. And the funniest thing is that I'm so much that my 15-year-old will say to me like, Mom, that is not ladylike.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Don't ever date a girl like me. Right? Like, whatever that means. But I just, my joyful spaces are just, I allow that joyful nature, that childlike wonder just to come through. And I allow myself to be curious about everything and ask really stupid questions. Whether I don't feel judged. I don't care what someone thinks about my silly questions. I just get to ask them because I'm me, and because I am curious, and I have a childlike wonder in that way, because it's hard being serious all the time. It's not fun to be like so serious and this, rigid. It's way more fun to be goofy and silly. So I think that's part of my nature.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. And then your last question. This is either going to be a really short answer or it's going to be like another 25 minutes.
Uh-oh.
I'm guessing it's going to be on the short side. That could be wrong. And I could be wrong about both of them. What is the meaning of life?
Oh, good Lord. You would ask that question.
Yeah.
I think it's to embody the gratitude to actually have this embodied experience. To have it and to realize that it's a blessing and it's a gift and it's an honor to actually be embodied and experience the uniqueness of the individual expression that you have as yourself, as source expressed as you. It's such a beautiful blessing, and it's how I love every single human in that way. Like, wow, what a beautiful expression of source through you, right? There you go. It's a shorter answer than you thought.
Well, I knew it was going to be short. I was like, of course it's going to be, but powerful. I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, let's talk about your free gift. So what is your free gift that you're giving? Oh, it's a call. Yeah. I love it. What? Tell the people.
What is it? Remind me what my free gift is again.
I thought you knew. Damn it. 20-minute chat for change. Let's get clear on where you're blocked.
Yeah. It's I mean, I'm open to having conversations with anyone who feels like they're blocked in any way. If they just can't figure it out, or they're freaking frustrated with their own selves or anyone else in the world for that matter, then we hang out for 20 minutes and talk about like what's really true, what's actually going on. I'm so open and honest, sometimes so honest. So I warn people ahead. I'm like, okay, like you're gonna get all of me if you're okay with that. I'm just
I'm bringing it. Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you know that about me.
You know that about you, and that's why I wanted you on here. We got comments coming in. Shazia Imam, who I interviewed on Tuesday of this week, started the fart conversation.
Good girl. That's my woman right there.
You were cracking up about like the farts and how funny they are. And Aaron's here. Aaron will chat for change. Aaron wrote, "We'll chat for change." Of course you will.
Hi, Shazia. Thanks for coming. Yeah, it's
a huge truck going by my window. I never shut my window. There you go, guys.
It's the fresh air girl. You get to have it.
It's awesome. It's awesome. All right. So thank you so much. I love you. Is there anything you want to end with? Is there anything you want to give the people watching or listening, like a couple more tidbits of your knowledge?
I wouldn't know what to say. Oh God, my jokes are completely inappropriate for this space. I'm just saying.
What do you mean?
Oh,
there's no such thing.
Aaron, taking this serious to new heights. Yes.
I know. Farts for life. Shazia Riggs.
Farts for down. Am I bringing it down, Aaron?
No. Tell a joke. If it's inappropriate, it would be even better.
No. I don't know that I could. I'll tell you a joke later. We'll share the jokes for I don't know that
I'm so curious. All right, sweetheart, thank you so much for being here. I love you. I love the gift that you are to the planet, to the human race, to me personally. Like, you are just absolutely divine. Like, divine. I look in your direction and I see truth and wisdom from definitely not from here. Like, and it's in all of us. And so I'm so drawn to him, like a moth to a flame, because I know that everything that you experience that is outside of the embodied process that we're here having is available to every human being. And it's just magical.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And I'm so grateful you have me on. This is so much fun. And thank you for letting me share my story. I didn't even think that stuff would come out, but the number one thing I think, if I could leave something with everyone, is that the one thing I find in every single human that I work with is a program of mistrust. And it's not at all mistrust of others, because others are you. It's you don't trust yourself. So much so that you stop being you for fear of whatever it looks like to others, and that you can't trust what's outside of you. And really what's outside of you is you. And so if you have a program of mistrust or lack of trust, or not trusting yourself or not trusting others, you're only going to get experiences that create a lack of trust to prove you right, because the program's running and it's in there and it's going to happen. And so that's the number one thing I clear. And when you clear trust, suddenly everything that you've ever wanted becomes possible, because now you trust you in order to have it. And therefore there's nothing stopping you. Nothing can stop you when you trust you, because that innate motion of trusting your instincts, trusting your knowing, trusting the people that show up in front of you that feel aligned is everything. So that would be one thing. Look for that.
I have to share this with you. I was texting with Christina Miglino earlier this week, and I just said, I love the feeling of trusting myself. It's the ultimate gift to me. And she said, isn't it the best? And I said, like, seriously, wow. Because honestly, like, this is where I am right now. Like, I'm actually trusting that I have the answers. I'm trusting my internal wisdom. I'm trusting the divine messages that are coming through that aren't of me. They aren't of me here, this mind. They don't come from here. And I'm just
they do, because you are all of that. That's the beautiful thing. You have access to every bit, for lack of a better word, of information and possibility that ever was and ever will be and ever is, because no such thing as time. Everything is now. So the access is infinite. When you are willing to receive that piece of your own information, that you actually can do, be, and have everything all at the same time, because you are everything, then there isn't anything outside of you. Yeah. You become all that is.
Yeah. I meant like the things that I've learned, like the things like college
things. Yeah. Yeah. And those are the fun experiences we get to have because we're embodied. Yes. That's the joyful, like, oh, I get to learn how to ride a bike. Oh, I get to learn how to use a computer. Like you find the silliest things in the mechanics of like day-to-day life, because you can't, I mean, how nice it would be to spend your life in the energies of all of it. But we most likely, when we become, where we're no longer embodied, that's where we play. So why would you want to be that now? You get there. Like, just have fun while you're here, right?
I love you. Thank you so much. To get Wendy's, to book a call with Wendy, go to soulwitandwisdom.com. I will have her information and the link to sign up for a call with her here in like a half hour or so, as I literally do it right when we get off the call. I love you. I honor you. I respect you. I thank you. And I see you.
Oh, thank you. I love you. And thank you for having me. It's so much fun. And thank everyone for watching this, because I see you.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you later.